Support for the Mike Francesa podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They understand that home plays a big role in your life and family. That's why they created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence you need when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th, with Rocket Mortgage you get a transparent online process that gives you the confidence to make an informed decision. It's convenient. Our trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. And in addition to getting a real mortgage approval in minutes, you can even adjust the rate and length of your loan in real time to make sure you're getting the right solution for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Francesa. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 3030.
Mike, quick question. How are you, Mike?
Good, what's up?
Last week you talked about McGregor and Mayweather, saying McGregor has zero chance.
Zero chance.
Have you ever seen his fights, Mike?
No. I mean, have I seen highlights of him? Yes. I haven't watched the whole fight, but have I ever seen highlights of him? Yes.
Mike, I'm not saying that he's going to beat Mayweather,
right,
but I think he has a chance only for the fact that Mayweather is 40 years old,
yes,
Mike. He's not as fast. He's no way as fast as 5-6 years ago. And Conor McGregor has 21 knockouts. This guy hits like a truck.
It's a different sport, first of all. Secondly, he does. It is apples and oranges, Dave. You are talking about him fighting a completely different kind of game, fighting a completely different science in a sport where distance is part of the game, where space is part of the game. McGregor does not play a sport where space is an issue. In what Mayweather does, space is a huge part of his mechanisms and his defenses, and the stylish nature. You're talking about a guy who is not a fighter getting in the ring with what is one of the finest defensive fighters in the history of boxing. A guy who has been as elusive and is harder to hit than probably anybody, maybe one of the, like I said, one of the best ever. And it is so hard for a good boxer to get to him, for someone who has no experience. And I know what you're saying. Oh, you can catch him with a lucky punch. You know what? Mayweather's not going to allow that to happen because space is a huge issue in boxing. He can't just rush across and throw a punch. He can't grab him in a headlock and hit him. He can't do these things. So the bottom line is his ability to attack is going to be completely thwarted by the ring talents, and the exquisite ring talents of a Mayweather is going to frustrate him completely.
But you don't think his talents have faded away a little bit?
A smidge, but not enough to where he's not not enough to where his quickness will be anything but outstanding in this fight.
He has not fought in 2 years.
I agree, but this is not a fight.
2 years.
But he's not fighting a boxer. He's fighting someone. It's a completely different. Listen, if these were rules where there were quasi-rules and he was allowed to do some things, it would change that fight completely. But if you're going to talk about them playing, under what are regular boxing rules, which is what they are playing under, they are competing under exactly what we know in the sport of boxing. And under those rules, he will be so highly frustrated, it will be ridiculous. And this is a guy who knows what his job is. He knows exactly what his job is. So
you might think I'm nuts. You might think I'm nuts, but I'm calling a 6-round knockout. I really think you can knock him out.
Well, you see, the fact that you think that is exactly what they want, because that will ensure that you'll be there with your money, and that's what they want. They want this to be.
Mike, I'm going to order the fight.
No, but I'm saying that the fact that there's enough people like you who think this will be a very competitive, rather than that it will be a ho-hum affair. The fact that there are people who think he will win, that'll make the buys even better. Because listen, I understand McGregor has an insane amount of fans, but McGregor took this fight took this date for one reason. It allows him to get rich. And that's what his motivation was. It's always Mayweather's motivation, as we know. We know his love with money. And we understand that, everyone loves money, but we understand that his is almost a crazy fascination with the idea of that and how much he can make. Mayweather's talked about how this will be, taught in Harvard Business School, the amount of money he will make on this fight and how he, manipulated this. And what you're going to see as they get closer to this fight, and most of the buys happen late, as you know. When they get closer to this fight, you will see a couple of press conferences that I'm sure will be right out of, WWF or whatever they call it. Is it WWE or WWF? What is it?
WWE now.
WWE, okay. WWE. It'll be right out of wrestling. They'll be hitting each other with chairs, and their seconds will be crawling all over. There'll be I wouldn't even be surprised if these guys are rolling around on the floor somewhere before the fight in one of these press conferences. Because, listen, they are out to sell this thing to the moon, and they're going to make a tremendous amount of money. They're each going to make a lot of money. And I know that McGregor has an incredible following, an insane following, which is fine. And I know the sport. You guys are into this, right? You guys love this fighting, right? You like this fighting?
Oh yeah, I'm big into the MMA.
That's what I mean. You guys like this stuff, which I understand. Listen, I've said this on the air many times. I don't knock something because I don't like it or don't have any interest in it. That other people do, God bless them. I might like the sport they don't like. To each his own. I have no problem with the young guys liking this stuff. I have no problem. So go ahead. You follow this stuff. First of all, on his level, is he unbeatable? He's not unbeatable in his sport, right?
Conor McGregor, no, he's not unbeatable. He still has some flaws in his games. With his group, in his ranking, do they fight weight class there? Yeah, he fights as a lightweight, 155.
Okay. All right, his fight, is he the best at his deal?
Yes, currently he holds the belt at 155, so he's the best.
Has he been defeated in championship fights or no?
Not in championship fights, no. He's lost one huge fight in the UFC, and that was 10 days' notice. The fighter he was supposed to fight backed out, so his opponent ended up wanting to take the fight, and the guy was 170. He couldn't come down to 155, so Conor actually went up 25 pounds from where he normally fought at.
And fought him at 170?
Yeah, and he lost. He lost by a tap out.
What does a tap out mean?
He got into a choke. Yeah, he was in a choke because, again, MMA, you can go on the ground, and he got put in a choke. Okay,
so, yeah, that's right. You can get submission hold.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? Okay. He said uncle. He said uncle. Okay, so you can. So that just shows you. I'm sure he could make Mayweather say uncle, but he's not allowed to make him say uncle. What he's going to do is be very frustrated trying to chase him around. This is going to look like a little bit like Rocky and Thunderlips in which Rocky was that? Rocky 3.
Rocky 3. That's 3?
Yes.
Wait. Right.
That's 3.
That's 3. That's 3.
The ultimate male versus the ultimate meatball.
That's right. That's 3. Okay, that's right. 4 is Drago, right. Ivan Drago, and Creed gets killed. Right. That's 4.
Correct.
Okay. When they do the Russia thing, which is oh my God, the worst 20 minutes in the history of movie making. But 3's not terrible. I've always said that.
No, 3's my favorite. I love it.
The Thunderlips part is ridiculous.
I like
when he picks up Thunderlips and well, first of all,
Hogan was awesome in it.
First of all,
fantastic.
The first time you meet Sylvester Stallone, and I have to admit, the first time I met Sylvester Stallone, I was at CBS, and I was doing football with Pat O'Brien on the college football show, and he came in with a fighter named Aaron Pryor. Okay, And you guys, you don't remember Aaron Pryor?
No, I
don't. Aaron Pryor was a very talented, very troubled fighter years ago. Okay, he came in at the time with Rocky was around fighters at that time too. I mean, Sylvester Stallone was. But what really grabs you is having watched him in the movies. You're shocked at how small he is. He's not big. I mean, he's really. Sometimes you meet these actors and they're tiny. He's not very tall. You're very surprised by it because he looks so much bigger in the movies. Where you realize that he's not very. Alan Ladd was the same way. Redford, another one, not very big.
Really?
But yeah, he's just not very tall.
It also looked like he got smaller as the Rockies went along. So he was like this big kind of.
He really
kind of
wasn't,
guy.
though. When you think they made
really
him seem like he was, but he wasn't. Yeah. Well, he got thinner.
He got much more thinner.
Well, he got into weightlifting and everything. He got prettier as he went on, but physically himself.
Right.
But the bottom line is, as he became a movie star. But the bottom line is, he's not a very tall man. So that's the first thing that grabs you about him. But the thing is, in the movie, I don't know how tall Hulk Hogan actually is, but
I think he's like 6'10".
I mean, he looks so much bigger than Stallone in that scene. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. So I think it might look a little bit like that. That was what it would look like if they fought with no rules. Would be kind of like that. But this is going to be a little different. This is going to be a very frustrated McGregor against a guy who really is probably as good at slipping punches as anybody's ever been. So, I mean, that's his strength.
Well, now you've sold me on it. If it's anything like Thunder Lips Rocky, I have to go. I have to make sure I watch it.
You told me you were watching it anyway.
I'll probably end up at a party, but even if I don't, now I might have to just order it myself.
CeeLo, you into that thing at all? No.
I'm usually not, but I will admit the press conferences captivated me, and I'm definitely into it now.
They got you. And wait, you haven't even seen the one yet where they hit each other with chairs and everything. That's going to come soon.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's coming next because that last week they'll come up with something special. Those guys will have a press conference or the weigh-in or something. They'll do something to make sure they can get a couple more.
I don't know
millions of buys.
What wasn't said in those 4 days?
I'm telling you, there's more coming. There's more coming. Yeah. No, they'll probably all be like in a pile fighting or something. At some point. Just trying to sell this thing. But everyone says it's going to sell like crazy, so they're both going to make a lot of money. I haven't seen the break. Has anybody can anyone show me what the breakdown
of money
is?
They haven't really released it. They said they won't.
They won't.
Right.
Well, you figure it's probably it's 2-1 or at least for Mayweather, maybe 3-1.
They're both making over $100 million, though, from what I understand.
Really? That's a lot of buys, man. I figured Mayweather would. I figured McGregor might make 40-50. He's going to make 100 also.
I believe it's definitely over 75, but close to 100 as well.
I like to see what Mayweather got the larger part of the pie. I wonder by how much though. All right, here's CeeLo. All right, we're back, and what's the name of your podcast?
It's called WFAN's Outside the Cage podcast.
WFAN's Outside the Cage. So you're the guy who you went to the press conference?
Yeah, I went to the one when I was at Barclays.
Have you interviewed McGregor?
That was the first time I actually was able to interview him. Yes.
And is it all put on, or is there is it just all a show with him, or what?
For the presser, there was a lot of put on. I think he was having fun with it. I mean, he's a really nice guy. I've seen people meet him.
Where is he from?
He's from Ireland.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah. But he talks the talk, he walks the walk. Though in UFC at least, he's able to follow up. Like he talks a big game, but he's able to actually beat most of his opponents and do it thoroughly, and he calls out who he's going to beat.
The Garden was stunned. They told me that I was there right after that, and they told me that was the biggest live gate in the history of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
And they were stunned at the appeal for this guy, that the fans were nuts.
Oh, yeah.
They could not believe how big. They were shocked at how big a star McGregor was and how big the appeal was, how crazy the fans were about him. They could not believe how crazy the fans were.
That was the best-selling pay-per-view for UFC.
Not only that, it's the biggest live gate in the history of Madison Square Garden. Bigger than any other fight. Now, obviously, dollars are, it costs more for tickets now than it did, say when Ali fought Frazier. I understand that. And I always said that was the night I would have liked to have been doing Mike and the Mad Dog. So that Dog and I could have been in the building at 1 o'clock. Can you imagine being there at 1 o'clock and then that night was Ali Frazier? Could you imagine that? And you got Burt Lancaster doing the call. You got Frank Sinatra taking the pictures. I mean, you got every big star in the world. I mean, that would have been special. That's the night that I thought of. That would have been, you would have been like, that's the night to be at the stadium. Also, would have liked to have been at the Giant Dodger playoff game. Would have been nice too. But that one would have been really the most dramatic night I could think of in terms of just intensity and just big event. Had to be March 8th, 71. That night for for just the sheer, watching the building fill up, seeing all the people come in, seeing celebrities 20 rows deep. The only time I've ever seen where celebrities there was so many it didn't even matter was the time we went to see the Pope at Madison Square Garden. There was so many people in the building that day that, you would just, everywhere you looked they were. So it was just unbelievable how many people were there that day.
Our pets are family, so we want to feed them the best, naturally. Now at Target, you can pick up Blue Buffalo cat food. Blue is made from the finest natural ingredients, and #1 is always real meat. Love them like family?